Well, in Nepean yesterday, Prime Minister Carney announced a new federal agency that he says will supercharge housing construction. Build Canada Homes will receive $13 billion in initial funding. Carney says the agency will build affordable housing for low-income households and work with private developers to build homes aimed at the middle class. Carney says Build Canada Homes will oversee plans to build 4,000 homes on 6 federally owned sites throughout the locations yet to be specifically announced. We have the areas, but not the specific sites. Joining us live to talk more about this is Jennifer Keesmaat, urban planner and founder of the Keesmaat Group. Jennifer, great to talk to you because you can talk to us from the policy side, the development side. What's your sort of quick assessment overall of this Build Canada Homes?
Well, I think our starting point is that we're in this strange position where this government has to answer the question of facing the risk that an entire generation is locked out of home ownership and is starting to rethink their future in the country because of the cost of housing. So my quick take is that Prime Minister Carney and his government have acted very quickly to pull this agency together, to get this moving, to get a message out to Canadians that they're going to be very action-oriented on this file. And they've done that by, of course, following through on their campaign promise, which was made, I don't know how long ago was the election, 6 months ago, not that long ago, and they've all, already got this out. They were pretty clear in the message yesterday that the 6 sites that they've announced are really just the tip of the spear, if you will, that this is about getting started quickly, but they have big aspirations for this agency leading a fundamental new approach to housing delivery that's also based on modernizing the construction industry.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking about reducing upfront costs for developers as well. Also, flexible financial incentives there. In a place like Ontario, where we are so behind in terms of, our goals to build homes, do you think a plan like this can work? Because this market, as we well know, is so different from almost all of the rest of Canada.
Well, you're absolutely right, but there's a ray of light when it comes to that, in part because, of course, the Minister of Housing is the former Mayor of Vancouver, Gregor Robertson, and as a counterpoint, they announced that our very own Anna Bailau, who was previously the Deputy Mayor of Housing for the City of Toronto, is going to lead this agency. So I think there's going to be a really strong Ontario lens that is in fact brought to the agency. The housing crisis is a crisis everywhere, but it's the biggest in Ontario. Our slowdowns in terms of housing starts are really significant, particularly in relation to the rest of the country. So figuring out the Ontario problem is a really big part of figuring out the housing crisis problem. Another big part of what they announced yesterday was around financial incentives and focusing those financial incentives on truly delivering affordable housing, which is, kind of a new thing. There's never been an agency dedicated specifically to affordable housing in this country at the national scale. We have TCHC at the local scale. There's other agencies, BC Housing in Vancouver, but there's never been a federal entity looking at how to drive forward, giving incentives to the private sector to get them building affordable housing or housing that is attainable for the average household in Canada. So that's a very, very new thing. And I think that Ontario has really big problems. Look, we've got problems with our zoning that have been kind of muddled around with for 5 years now at the provincial level. We also have a major problem with development charges. So in the City of Toronto, 42% of the cost of a 2-bedroom condo is actually money that's just, you're paying it to the developer, but it's going right back to the municipality. So we have a broken funding model, and it's kind of coming home to roost in the fact that housing is no longer even remotely affordable for the average working household in this city and in this province. So you're right, Ontario, big problem. I think Anna Bailau being there, she's, a ray of light, a bit of a hope that she can bring a very specific Ontario lens to the question.
All right, it's a good starting point on this conversation. We'll continue it, I'm sure, throughout. Jennifer Keesmaat, urban planner, founder of the Keesmaat Group. Always appreciate the time. Thanks, Jennifer.